When you feel ready, settling yourself into a comfortable meditation position, just 5 or 6 minutes of resting and settling. You can exhale through the mouth and allow your whole system to soften. Today is paying special attention to softening your belly and, if you can, your lower back, sides of your waist. And of course, posture is very important for that. So make sure that you are settled in the appropriate position. Your body rests easily. Take the time to release your neck, your throat, the base of your tongue, softening your jaw, releasing the musculature around and behind your eyes, and allowing this sense of decompression to happen in the neck as the head is released upward. And with every exhalation, your shoulders also soften further, all the way down to your fingertips. Your chest and upper back release. Remember that when your upper back releases, your shoulder blades move away from the spine and sink down your back. They do not allow your shoulders to roll forward. Shoulder blades stay back and settle down. This allows your shoulders to open, your chest to release, and that also helps your elbows to sink in the appropriate line. That keeps you from compressing your belly, because when your chest softens, the weight naturally settles down, freeing your solar plexus and your abdomen, the sides of your waist. Your lower back can begin to soften, even when it's habitually tight. We simply give it permission to release, recognizing that it may take weeks or months or years for it to soften. These things take time sometimes. Make sure that your hips are released, your lower legs and your feet. Your mind and your emotions also relax, becoming simply okay with being here. Not doing anything special, simply being here is enough. Letting go of any habits or desire to change. Just being soft and present is enough. And then when you're ready, get your hands nice and warm, opening the crown of the head without compressing the neck and without tightening the shoulders, simply softening the top of the head, activating that Bai Wei point. Bai Wei brightens your mind and helps open and prepare all of the yang channels running through your body. You might notice this invigorates the channels, wakes you up, and hopefully softens all of the tendency to have tension in the top of the head, letting everything go. The stool is amazing for that. Make sure you completely release in between each movement. You have a little moment of stillness. It's a miniature closing. Make sure that you don't build up tension in one movement and then take it into the next. We always find these tiny moments of stopping. Make sure you wait until your hands feel nice and warm. Do whatever it's required for you to warm your hands up. My hands already feel quite warm. But sometimes it takes a few minutes. And so always take that time. Part of what we're hoping people learn with this set is to listen to what's actually happening and to take whatever time is actually required to accomplish what you're doing. Don't just follow the form, follow what's real. The real. Things take however long they take. I've been hearing how people's arms get tired during this practice. Mm-hmm. So I want to make a concerted effort to obviously stop and let go between each movement. Maybe that's too obvious. Next to the nose here, it's called fragrance because it allows us to open these centers here. We want to, even momentarily, touch in with our ability to scent things. I always notice the smell of soap in my hands. When we take the time to notice things, our nervous system and our brain decides to put more weight into them and a little bit of the resources behind fixing them up. And so if we notice what things smell like, the body mind goes, oh, I guess we want to be smelling things. And so you become a little bit better at smelling. When we do these ear things and we notice how things sound, the brain goes, oh, we want to pay a little bit more attention to hearing things clearly. And so by putting the attention to things in that way, it is one way that we heal. In the same way that we're putting attention into this layer here beneath the skin, the body mind begins to allocate resources and to heal these spaces. And by the way, for those people who are just joining us, who are unsure of what we're doing, perhaps you're new here, please do check down below in the comment section. I have a link to an introductory instruction video, which makes it a bit easier to understand what we're doing and why. And then, of course, afterward, you're always welcome to join us in these live sessions as often as you want. But you'll have a better idea of how to do the practice correctly. It's interesting, actually, as I do this, and I'm noticing, I feel like my skin is a little bit more plump in these areas than it used to be.
Really?
Yeah. So I was paying attention to how it felt when we first started, and I already notice a bit of a difference. It's very interesting.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I heard you mention that yesterday, and I got excited. I'm like, oh, I hope that happens.
I don't know.
I haven't noticed.
I never look enough in the mirror to know if it looks different, but I feel my skin all the time, and it feels different to me. Maybe I'm just inflamed. Maybe I just...
Could be, yeah. There's
My face is
ton of
swelling
bugs
up.
going
Best side effect of COVID. But
You
I
know,
think
actually, I have noticed that the appearance of my skin seems healthier sometimes, plumper when I'm sick.
Interesting.
Is that why? Because of the inflammation?
Could be. Who knows? Maybe you're just more rested when you're sick because you're taking the time to sleep.
I don't know what it is, but I've noticed it for years.
That's really funny. We want to allocate resources to the skin and to the fascial layer, this layer of vascularity and connective tissue beneath the skin, without hopefully being sick or inflamed. I haven't done the 100 days in a while, and so it's been neat to be steady with it and to watch the changes. I was telling Melanie this morning that having a chance to share it with you and get all of this feedback from people regularly, because usually I'm doing this kind of practice just by myself during meditation in the morning, and I only get to hear from a few people how it's helping them. But since I've been hearing from a number of you how much of a difference this has been making, it's made me that much more of a believer in this system and in this method. Now I'm very excited that everyone's doing it with us. Such a simple and gentle way to heal. Remember, it can be helpful to slightly open your jaw when doing all of these ear practices. Melanie is reminding me that if your arms feel tired, maybe your shoulders are especially tight today, or your arms are just more tired than usual, you can always swing your arms a little bit, shake them out, and do these practices that we spend a lot of time doing. You take your time. Wait until things feel soft again, and then continue. Again, we don't follow me. We don't follow how the form is supposed to be. We follow what's actually happening in our body minds. So if you need to rest, wait until you're done resting, then keep going. Don't follow me. That's the important thing. Unless you're new, then follow me. But once you have the form, listen to what's happening. That's part of the practice. Thank you for the reminder. Remember, as your hands pass over your belly, soften your abdomen. Do your best to soften your sides and your lower back. Always taking the time to settle. Again, listening to your system, waiting for some moment of signal that your system is as settled as it's going to get. Touch bottom for a moment, whatever the bottom is for you. Then come back out. Eventually, there will be an experience of sinking and gathering, and then it naturally comes back out. And you couldn't stop it from coming back out. And so there's this moment of whoop, and you want to wait for that experience. Thank you for the tea. My Twin Peaks cup. Mel's Twin Peaks cup. Any additions to that you would make?
I imagine that when you said there's a movement upward that occurs after the sinking, you were not referring to the kind of chi movement that arises because of anxiety and distractions in the mind. But
yeah, that's a really good point. It's not that chi rushes upward after you push it down, hopefully.
Because that does happen to me during the practice. It's like a I think
yeah.
that's normal, right? It's a constant returning.
That's right. And so instead, it's more like there's this deep consolidation and then this arising of chi that comes to the surface. But it's a totally different quality than that. It should only encourage greater peace and contentment, because that's the direction of that effervescing feeling you're talking about, the minty feeling. Melanie experiences the chi release feeling as being minty inside her. ZhiCheng often talks about it like an effervescing, like a bubbly spring water that goes through your body. Everyone experiences it differently. I experience it like the water going into a sponge and things kind of go, but it's just the way your brain is interpreting the experience. And so as you find that settling, there's this deep consolidation and gathering. Things get really still. And then out of that, there's this natural, like when you go to sleep and then wake up. And so it should be refreshing and nourishing, not anxiety inducing. And it should keep your mind still. You keep all the qualities of settledness, but you take the settledness out into the world around you.
Thanks for clarifying.
Like every time that we start the Tai Chi form, for instance, that's technically we are standing in Wuchi posture, waiting for that to happen. And then you would just wait however long it took until this happened, and then you ride that with the form. It's just that so few people ever cultivate that we don't bother to wait for it. We just start the form. The Shifu talks about it. Easing open all of the spaces around your shoulders. Maintaining softness in your shoulders. Remember, if you need to let go, then go ahead and do that at any time. Anytime you start feeling tension building up in a way that's hard to release, you just pause. Sometimes that means the form takes a lot longer, and that's okay. So the theme today is twofold. One is the belly, returning and softening the belly. The other is letting go of tension so that chi can soften to the belly. They both go together pretty nicely. Oh, today that rolling feels really nice. Interesting. I forgot that I had a new shirt that I could have worn today.
That's right. Probably needs to be ironed first.
Mm-hmm. I've always experienced a lot of warmth in this area because of all the wrist damage I've had over the years from people doing wrist locks and things on me. I can feel how it's twisted and blocked, and so when my awareness sinks into the spot, I can feel like all of this feedback where it runs into blockages, things. Instead of it just going easily out like it does in other places, here it likes to go, and I feel it like folding up, and so I like spending time here. This side too. From lung 7, lung 9, lung 10, lung 11. Lung 8 is in here as well, but we hardly use that. This, since it's cold and flu season, it might be worth mentioning that this point here, just in the very center of this part of the thumb, between the muscle and the bone, halfway along this particular section of the thumb, lung 10, is my favorite point for treating sore throat. So it's a really nice one for people to know, to be able to lean into when you need to.
That fleshy part? The
fleshy part, yeah, just between the muscle and the bone. It's often sore when people have fevers and sore throats and things. And so it's a nice one to know. You, of course, still would want to treat whatever it is that's causing the sore throat, but it can be nice as a way to treat the pain. Oh, and since today we are emphasizing the stomach, this kind of thing, this point here that we were doing, pericardium 6, is most famous for treating nausea and kind of when your stomach chi wants to come up instead of sink down. Just between those two tendons, a couple inches up, there's a nice hole there that your finger falls into, a little cave. And so that's a good one to know since we're talking about the stomach. For those of you who've been following through the previous classes where we talk about the neck, the chest, the shoulders in more detail, make certain that as you release these areas that you're aware of those qualities, and if you discovered any special spots that you need to spend time on, please do. We talked about movements for healthy breast tissue. There's been a lot of information over the classes. If you've missed them, of course, they're all still available over at Patreon. So please feel free to review them, and you might find useful tidbits of information as you make your way through your version of the form. Find the areas that are the most important for you, as well as general education about some of the basics in traditional Chinese medicine. Shoulders are softening, hands are soft. Throughout this form, the hands should get softer and softer. You can position your arm however you like in order to make it easy to find these points. I usually position myself just so that it's easy for you to see on the camera here. But please do find a way to work on all of this in a way that softens you more and more. This whole large intestine line. Your awareness soaking in. Don't let your mind wander away. It stays firmly embedded in your body, experiencing this change at the level of that space between the muscle and the skin. Again, this point that's useful for nausea. The inner and outer gates. Whatever way that's comfortable for you. Noticing if you're breathing or holding your breath. And then letting go of whatever it is that's holding your breath. Try not to pull your breath in or push it out. Instead, release it. Instead of throwing the bird that you caught into the air, you open your hands and let it fly away on its own. That's a lot less traumatizing, probably. If you need to, run through each of the fingers and the various channels that run to each of the fingers, 6 channels, yin, 3 yin and 3 yang channels on the arms. As you do these movements, since I know some of you grow tired doing this, perhaps do a few of these, shake your arms out, do a few more, shake your arms out. Some form like this to make sure that this is not adding tension. Be gentle with yourself. Eventually this will feel easy and effortless. After doing this for so long, I mean, my shoulders and arms feel softer after doing this rather than tighter. But if you're finding it going the other direction, then you may need to pause and take a break and then come back to it. And that's the same with all of these, really with anything. If you go to work, you find yourself starting to grip, you just pause, take a break, return to center, and then continue. That is the way to heal. That way you're practicing softness, not practicing tension. Softening to your navel. Your breath flows in effortlessly, your awareness gathers. Don't let your mind wander away. Simply be interested in what's happening here. More interested here than in whatever you're distracting yourself with. Feel okay?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Now softening down toward the belly. Remember, the emphasis is here today. And so continually letting all of this go as we practice, continually breathing, your mind always returning, allowing everything to sink down to this space. Allowing your awareness to soak into the tissue at the level of the solar plexus. By the way, this point here inside can serve as a useful substitute. Sometimes when people who menstruate are having their period, if they sink qi down to this middle dantian space, some small percentage of people will have more intensity in their period time. And it very rarely happens, but it can happen. And for those people, rather than doing closing and gathering qi behind their navel, just during those times of the month when things are especially intense, then maybe instead let your mind gather here into the space just inside the solar plexus. And that's okay too. And then when that period of intensity going on down here is over, then you just return your awareness back behind the navel. Then that space between the solar plexus and the navel, halfway between. Taking the time to deeply release this point here. Both sides. Softening your hands, softening your belly further and further till there's no tension at all in the whole abdomen. Then you can allow that warmth and softness to spread to the sides and then the back. Another useful point that we can try, so this point here that we're at, halfway between that V of the ribs here, the solar plexus, and the navel, that's the point we were just working on. If you were to come out to the sides a little bit, just to the sides of the abdominal musculature, just inside the ribs here, there's some useful points that it might be nice to spend time on as well. So you can soften those 2 points. Here I'm just using my fingertips, but it's probably nicer for me if I use my palms. So softening these 2 points as well. Easing those open. Just inside the ribs, in the center of the belly. These are points called stomach 21. Softening the abdomen. If you find these particularly relaxing or relieving, then you should just include them in your daily practice as well. Even if I skip past them in the normal set, you should still add them if they feel good. Your shoulder reaches, but also your waist turns a little bit here. This also helps to soften the sides, the belly, and the lower back by turning the waist. That helps your arm reach and continues to soften that part of the belly and the waist. As long as you're twisting your waist, not by pulling really hard, but by gently releasing and letting yourself turn. Don't add tension. Letting your awareness soak into the body. And then as well, releasing all of these points just below the floating ribs, all up and through here, softening the sides of the abdomen. I'm using my knuckles here. You can also use your fingers if that feels better, or your palms. Actually, my palms today feel nicer, so I'll do that. Listening to your body. Always letting go before continuing, especially if you've developed any tension in your arms or in your belly. Feel your breath release further and further. Remember that your shoulder stays relaxed, so you don't want to pull your elbow back behind you or lift your shoulder up. Your elbow just smoothly pivots side to side. Hand is softer and softer. As your belly softens, your breath flows into your torso more and more easily. Not trying to force your breath to be a certain way, just letting go of it.
Up the right, down the left is tonifying the blood.
To start that direction, yeah, with the right hand on top. Yeah.
Okay. And the reverse is tonifying the chi.
That's right, nourishing the chi. That's the general idea, at least. It is which direction you're allowing the yang chi to spiral. And then we spiral back in the opposite direction. But I think that makes such a small difference. It's kind of like how at the Olympic level, like which kind of knot you tie in your shoe adds that 0.00 milliseconds or something. So everyone learns the specific way to tie their shoes or something. But for most of us, it doesn't matter. It's just doing it. I think it's like that. And it's one of those things you can focus on, but mostly it's just softness and presence and all that stuff. And then eventually those little things make a difference. Letting your awareness soak in. Taking extra care here since the focus today is the belly, the sides, and the lower back. This thing is so spinny. It's really nice.
It's really fun. Yeah.
Opening the front of the hip. Your hands are soft. Remember that you want to continually soften the hands through this set. And that softness is part of what's communicating with your body. Even if your body is having trouble directly learning how to release that spot, the softness of your hands can begin to teach. Same with your lower back. This is an area I know that can be really difficult for a lot of people. And so if you're unable to find a way to release it directly, you can do it secondarily. You send your very relaxed messengers named what? Lefty and righty? What's
Lefty and righty.
And their gentle, soft, friendly manner helps to communicate and release this area. The psychology of the body, anthropomorphizing your tissues. And as your awareness soaks into that fascial layer, this also helps. Remember, you can always take a break between and then go back. And if you feel like it's helping, if you feel like your back is softening with this, then simply ignore the rest of what I do for class and take the time to really soften this area. Softening the back changes your whole life. It's usually one of the last things to let go, but sometimes it lets go by degrees, and you should take advantage of those opportunities. Remember to also soften the tailbone. Or at least the tissue on top of the tailbone. Shoulders are released. Taking a break in between. And then that musculature off to the sides of the tailbone. As well as in the center of your hips. And if these are particularly important areas for you, of course, please do take extra time here. Let your awareness soak into the tissues. Consciously release any holding. Softening your belly, releasing your breath. Especially the more we tend to reach toward the knees, I know that many people begin to grip their abdomen and their back. So please do make a conscious effort to continually soften this area. Space just behind the knee. Letting go of your breath. This point here behind the knee is wonderful for softening the lower back. So as you reach for this, do not tense up your lower back as much as you can. Soften your lower back as you stimulate these points. Find a posture that works for you. You can lie on your back and stimulate the points on your legs. You can sit in a chair, a sofa, a beanbag. You can float in a pool. Whatever it is that works. Sensory. The only thing you feel is the point. Everyone's body is so different. You're just going to have to find a way that it works for you. Eventually, it's very easy to relax. And so you just fold and move and your body lets go. That's the goal. But until then, you have to find the spaces and the ways that you hang on and then stop it. Stomach 36 here at the top of this muscle that runs along the shin, just on the outside of the shin, below the knees, is a fantastic point for a lot of things, for nourishing the qi, strengthening digestion, and in general, it is healing for the abdomen. So please do spend extra time on this point today. Warming and nourishing this point. You can use perhaps your palms or the base of your thumb. Base of my thumb today feels really good. There's a whole way of using moxa that can be very nourishing. And then as well, gallbladder 34 on the side of the leg here, between the two bones that come up the lower leg. This point is very nourishing for the joints in general and for the fascial layer, but as well, it's very good for relieving any tension for people who often feel tight in the rib side. This is a wonderful point for that. So you can ease open that point. And if these are useful for you for any reason, of course, just spend time with them throughout the day. Moving in a way that softens your back rather than tightens it. That frees your breath and your belly rather than gripping them. Sometimes it can mean moving more slowly, or a different shape of movement, or a different posture. And once you find it, then you allow your awareness to soak in to the tissues around the knee. Easing open the center of the calf, keeping your hands soft. They should, by this point, be even softer than when you started. Softening around the Achilles all the way down. And then, of course, that musculature all alongside the shin here. We've had several people who come to class that experience shin splints from running or just from day to day. And that's essentially damage that's occurring to the layer of tissue just on top of the bone, periosteum, where the nerves and the blood flow happens. And that damage comes from the musculature pulling and pushing and being stressed and damaged on top of these tissues, which damages the fascial layer. And it's the fascial layer that comes in contact with that blood layer, the periosteum on top of the bone. So by soothing this fascial layer, you're helping to heal this damaged space on top of the bone. Spleen 6, again, about the distance of your hand across here from the top of the ankle bone, just along that line on the inside of where the bone and the soft tissue meet. You might find a sensitive spot there. This point in particular is wonderful for the lower abdomen. For all different kinds of people, but for those people who happen to have a active or cantankerous uterus, then often this can be a very helpful point. But really, it's a wonderful point for anybody. I don't think I've ever used the term cantankerous uterus.
Cantankerous uterus. There's something musical about that sound.
There is. The Chinese have wonderful terminology for things. That's not one of them, but I think one person was asking me about the running piglet chi, which is the description of the experience of an anxiety attack.
Oh.
Some idea like if you had a small animal in your abdomen and it comes rushing up, you're just like, "Roar!" That feeling. They call it running piglet chi.
Interesting.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
And that is a feeling I know really well. You feel like you're being strangled from the inside from some huge movement upward. I remember that happening a lot. I also remember the last time I had a major anxiety attack. And it was then immediately afterward, I received an acupuncture treatment and I never had one again. I feel really fortunate because it's not like I did the psychological work to heal it. It just fixed it. Took a little longer, I think, for my stutter to get better, but that also really helped that.
Do you remember what those acupuncture points were for the anxiety treatment?
I was so unaware at the time. I'm on my back, so I couldn't know a lot of them. Some of them were the same ones here that I was treating myself and that were getting treated, the heart points here. I don't really remember, though. Some points on my head, maybe. It was a very amateur treatment, and so...
And it was just one time, or?
No, it was a series, yeah. And then I treated myself as often as I could. But such a foggy time in my life, I barely remember it. He was just being kind, you know. I also had a martial arts teacher that wanted to be an acupuncturist, and so he was a big fan of treatments and points, and that was really helpful. Actually, I had several martial arts instructors that talked up acupuncture, but it still took me so long to come back to it and decide maybe this is something I want to study. I was like still enamored with the idea of being a physician.
It took you a while to tune to that frequency.
I think so, even though that was the only thing that ever really helped me. I think I was hopeful about the idea of respect and those things, you know, and I wasn't around enough people who respected Chinese medicine. And I was maybe hoping for their respect or something. The idea of being Dr. John. Something about that was something I had wanted before I died, because I still thought I was going to die early. This feels nice today to rub briskly. You feel the heat soaking into those points. It's good. It's neat how every day it's a little different what my body asks for. Just as a reminder to continue to release your breath. Don't tighten your abdomen. Try not to grip your lower back if you can. Continually softening. These points here on the top of the foot, along this line that runs to the big toe, especially the points here just on above this big bone here that run up the soft place on the arch. Those points with gentle stimulation can be really nourishing for the abdomen, for digestion. So if you want to be gentle and open them, that can be good. Yay. Oh, my fancy stool. Put you over here. Delicious. So, taking the time to release your belly as you sit. We often tend to grip ourselves as we move to the ground. So as you stretch out, look for ways to continually soften here. It's very common for people that are not sitting high enough off the ground to grip the tops of their thighs and their abdomen and their lower back to hold themselves in this position, instead of to soften this way by lengthening this and lengthening here. That's the direction we want to let ourselves move. Similarly, as you fold, make sure that you're not straining your lower back or the tissues beneath your legs. If you have a sense of stretching or straining in any way, then you've gone a little bit too far. Perhaps you can let yourself review the 3 yang channels that you're moving down and the 3 yin channels as you return back upward. We want to every day have that repetitive stimulus for the memory.
Anna just joined.
Anna joined.
Yeah.
How wonderful. Hooray. Anna, we appreciate you.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Sweet Anna, welcome back. Trying to remember my Portuguese. I don't remember enough of it. And that was Latin American Portuguese, not Portugal Portuguese. I think they're different. Too many languages to learn.
I don't know if this is helpful, but I'm putting my hand behind my back at the moment to do this. And
sure.
I'm noticing that it allows me to access my hips.
That's a really neat idea. So this is Mel's recommendation for the moment. This allows her to release and access her hips.
Yeah, normally there's a lot of tension in the hips during this movement, and that kind of helps to release it in that spot.
What a neat idea. I like it. Do you have that little, oh, you do over there, the stool to sit on? Softer is better. I agree. Full comfortable circles, easing open. Remember that we're focusing on releasing the waist today, softening the belly, easing open your lower back, sides of your waist, being gentle on your breath. And then again, if it's comfortable, continuing to release the legs from the hips downward, not gripping or pulling inward, and continuing to release the spine, lengthening upward so that they move around the circle. Gently closing the bottom of the feet, lengthening upward, folding down over the top. A sense of lengthening through the neck, softening through the shoulders. Adjust your movements so that there is no tension No holding pattern. Everything should feel easy and free. And then slowly let that realm of ease and freedom expand to include larger movements, but not because you're pushing them, but because you're getting out of the way even better. And through this daily practice, your tissues are slowly transforming and releasing. One more time. Again, as a reminder, you're not holding or compressing your breath or any of your tissues. Everything is easy. Ah. Comfortable breath, easy waist turning. Remember, you're not twisting your shoulders, but you're turning down here, softening around your ribs. Your navel turns, your lower back is released as best you can. If you hear me speaking while I'm doing this, you can tell I'm not holding my breath or compressing, pushing and pulling, simply letting go. Softer and softer as you practice. Our goal is to be effortlessly open. Remember, as we move through this movement of the tongue and the jaw, please do not use it as an excuse to develop more tension through here. As we lengthen, for instance, the tongue, simply soften it long. Adjust the position of your throat and your neck so that everything is able to become long. The way you can lengthen your arm by letting go of your joints, or you can imagine that you're making your arm long by tightening your joints, but you're actually shortening everything. Instead, all I have to do is let go here, and everything gets longer. We're doing that inside here through all of this shape, which is what we talked about in the neck practice a couple days ago. So please take your time. Pausing to allow your awareness, your breath, your qi to accumulate in this space between the navel and the spine. Letting everything go. Softening your belly and your back. take the time to establish this energetic center between the navel and the spine. In this system, we refer to it as zhong dantian, the middle dantian, but it is a very important space to establish. Everyone is born with a capacity to create the space, but we want to cultivate it and develop it in the way that everyone maybe has a backyard or a field or a space with which they could grow things, but they still have to cultivate the soil and take the time to water and feed the plants there. And so we do that internally by softening our belly, allowing the breath to sink, allowing the awareness to sink. Or like we were just practicing, the saliva sinks. And then as our awareness accumulates, things perhaps become soft and warm, and something changes. And then that shifts everything. Your mind settles more easily. Your emotions are more easily grounded. Your whole body warms and fills with life. Your nervous system also slows down. This is a very important phase of practice. We all don't emphasize it usually because we are busily working on the fascial layer here, but since today we're emphasizing the abdomen, I wanted to make sure that we talked about it. And so let's go ahead and spend a couple of minutes lying flat if you'd like, or simply make yourself comfortable in a chair. If you decide to lay down, make sure that everything is soft and open. Your whole body is at ease. You can allow your awareness to drift through your body comfortably, noticing that new, warm, open layer. And then at some point when you feel ready, we'll return to a seated posture. Unless you just like to lay here longer, that's okay too. Make the practice your own. Enjoy yourself. Be comfy. And at some point, you want to return your awareness to your middle dantian. And then very slowly, as your awareness is established there, allow it to stay, but a part of your awareness begins to expand around that point, to include the whole of the body. So you feel your whole body at once with the center of this grounded, stable place, and then expanding further beyond your body into the space around you, the world around you, while remaining settled and anchored in the center. It's a very healthy way to practice. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of you, even the latecomers. We like having you here. And if there are any questions, of course, please feel free to ask. Let me drink my tea. Mel's favorite Twin Peaks character.
very wholesome fella.
He is a wholesome fella. You do like those wholesome dudes. And I'll wait just a few minutes. I know sometimes it takes a little while for any questions or comments to come through. And if anybody as well has any advice to spread, we appreciate you. Happy New Year, Anna.
Happy New Year.
I guess on that side of the world it probably already turned, or is it about to turn? The wood dragon. Qinglong, the blue-green dragon. It's nice. It will be a very good year. Anna, do you know your Chinese astrological chart or animal? The year animal?
John is a snake.
I am a rooster-like snake, fire snake. My hour is a sheep. My month is a monkey.
Ah, Anna says monkey.
Monkeys! I love me a monkey. Yeah.
ZhiCheng Shirku teaches a class called the 5 Animal Frolics.
Yeah.
And one of the animals is the monkey.
Yeah, the gibbon, the monkey. Yeah.
And the movements feel really fun.
They are fun. Yeah, very playful,
Very playful. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's our teacher's favorite animal because he's like that all the time. He's kind of looking around and going, being really playful, and he likes to walk over and pinch me.
He's married to a monkey. Not literally, but.
Not literally. It's good to be clear. Anna's asking what your
Oh, I am a rabbit. For most of my life, I thought I was a dragon because technically I was born in year of the dragon, but I guess I was right on the cusp.
Yeah. Yeah. Because on the restaurant menu, it just says the year. It doesn't say which month.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, it's good. So for us, it's tomorrow. New Year's tomorrow. And spring began a few days ago. But it's very beautiful time here. Very spring-like. The spring came early for us here. But we are looking forward to the new year.
Yeah.
It's been a good one. Yeah. The dragon year is supposed to be very good for the monkey, if you believe in that kind of thing. Well, I think that's about it. I appreciate all of you. Happy New Year! I'll say it again tomorrow. Yeah, for those of you on the other side of the planet. And I hope that you have a good rest and wake up in the new year refreshed and ready as the gong for the new year sounds in the morning. Bang! You get this new wash of qi flooding you, ready to start. This is the good time to set New Year's resolutions and those things. Spring's actually here. People, in the West, we have the habit of setting resolutions right in the center of winter, which is like the worst time to plan for anything. When we have no will and everything's drained and we're just supposed to be in bed. And everyone's like, I'm going to start to jog every day. It's the worst time. And so everyone fails and then they quit. But now is more like the time when the qi starts to come up and that yang qi in most places starts to come and awaken. So it's a good time to make new plans. So if you have New Year's resolutions, we'd love to hear about them maybe tomorrow. And we support you. You can do it. You can do it. Thank you very much.